Hello students, today we're going to look at 11.5, which is dividing polynomials. There are several parts to this, and we're going to look at the first two parts today, and the next video you'll look at the second part, or the third part, whatever it is. So part one, divide polynomials by a monomial. So here I have a polynomial, 16x plus 28, and I want to divide it by a monomial, 4x. Remember the monomial being a number, a variable, or the product of a number and a variable. Okay? Binomial divided by monomial. What I want to do is set it up so it looks like a fraction. So I would rewrite this as 16x plus 28 over 4x. Now sometimes it may be given to you in this form already. If it's not given to you in this form where it looks like a fraction, then you might want to rewrite it so it looks like a fraction. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this fraction, I'm going to divide it into two fractions. Because I have two terms, it'll be two fractions. If I had three terms and it was a trinomial, then I would have three fractions. But you'll remember from adding and subtracting fractions days, I can take the same thing, and this equals 16x over 4x plus 28 over 4x. Because remember, when we add fractions, the denominator stays the same. Okay, so now I have 16x over 4x plus 28x, plus 28 over 4x. So I'm going to use a different color to show you how this works. Now what I'm going to do is just simplify the fraction. Okay, I can cancel out the x's because x and x equals 1. So that's 1 and 1. And then 16 divided by 4, the 4 becomes a 1 and the 16 becomes a 4. So I'm just simply simplifying the fraction. Then I'm going to simplify 28 and 4x. Well, I can divide 28 and 4 by 4, so this 4 becomes a 1, the 28 becomes a 7. I can't do anything else with that x. So now I rewrite what I have. So the final answer would be 4, because that's all that's left, 4 plus 7 over x. Because that's what this fraction simplifies. So that is my final answer. 16x plus 28 divided by 4x is 4 plus 7 over x. And that's the final answer. So for my next problem, I have b squared plus 12b minus 14 divided by 3b. Again, it's written this long way, and I want to rewrite it as a fraction. So I'm going to do b squared plus 12b minus 14 over 3b. And now I'm going to separate it into three different fractions now because I have a trinomial. So that's going to equal b squared over 3b plus 12b over 3b minus 14 over 3b. And now I want to simplify these fractions as much as I can. So I've got b squared over 3b. Well, the b squared and the b can be simplified so that the b becomes a 1 and the b squared just becomes b. Because b squared divided by b is b. And then I have 12b over 3b. The b's can cancel out and they just become 1s. And then 12 and 3 cancel out. The 3 becomes a 1 and the 12 becomes a 4. And then on the last one, 14 over 3b. Well, 3 doesn't go into 14 evenly and there's no other b, so I can't do anything to that one. 14 over 3b is simplified already, so I can't do anything else to it. So then I write down what's left. b over 3 plus 4 minus 14 over 3b. And that would be my final answer to b squared plus 12b minus 14 divided by 3b. Again, I'm just setting up simple fractions and then simplifying the fractions, their simplest form, and then combining them again to tell me what my final answer is. Draw a big squiggly line in your composition book because we're going to go to kind of part number 2. Divide polynomials by a binomial. Okay? Divide polynomials by a binomial. So I've got my polynomial. In this case, it happens to be a trinomial. And I'm dividing it by the quantity of h plus 6. Okay? This h plus 6 is in parentheses, so it has to stay as its own unit. It cannot be separated into h and 6. It stays together as h plus 6. So I'm going to rewrite this again in what looks like fraction form. So I have h squared plus 9h plus 18 over h plus 6. And now we're going to go back to several chapters ago, actually just one, and we are going to factor h squared plus 9h plus 18 into two binomials. And remember to do that. We always find two factors of 18 that add up to 9, since a is 1. So think in your head, two factors of 18 that add up to 9. It's not 18 and 1, it's not 9 and 2, it must be 6 and 3. Ding, 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 6 and 3. So I have h plus 6 times h plus 3 over h plus 6. And that h plus 6 is its own unit. It cannot be separated. So now I have h plus 6 in the numerator and h plus 6 in the denominator. Since they're both units or binomials, I can cancel them out. And all I'm left with is h plus 3. So the final answer to h squared plus 9h plus 18 divided by h plus 6 is h plus 3. Again, I factor my trinomial into two binomial factors, and then I can cancel out the binomials that are the same in both the numerator and the denominator. So in the next example, we have x squared plus 8x plus 15 divided by x squared minus 9. So I'm going to rewrite it in fraction form. X squared plus 8x plus 15 over x squared minus 9. So now I need to factor the numerator. X squared plus 8x plus 15, so I need two factors of 15 that add up to 8. It's not 15 and 1, 5 and 3. That works. So we know that the numerator is going to be x plus 5 times x plus 3 over. And then I think, wait, neither one of those was x squared minus 9. Oh, hello, x squared minus 9. Oh, what is that? Come on now, come on. Yeah, I hear it, I hear it. Difference of squares, exactly. So how do I factor a difference of squares? I hope you remember this. If it's a difference of squares, x squared and 9, then I factor it by doing x minus 3 times x plus 3. Oh, yeah, Mr. Coles, I remember that now. Hallelujah. X minus 3 times x plus 3. So now, is there anything I can simplify? Well, absolutely. I've got an x plus 3 in the numerator and an x plus 3 in the denominator. So those will cancel out. And so all I'm left with is x plus 5 over x minus 3. So the correct answer is x plus 5 over x minus 3. That is the quotient, answer to a division problem, when x squared plus 8x plus 15 is divided by x squared minus 9. So sometimes you have to factor both the numerator and the denominator in order to get your solution. So here are your two practice problems for this lesson. Number 1, the quantity of 4t to the 5th minus 5t squared minus 12 divided by 2t squared. I'm dividing by a monomial. Write it as a fraction form, split it into 3 fractions, and then simplify. Number 2, r squared minus 12r plus 11 divided by the quantity of r minus 1. Factor the numerator, write it as a fraction first, factor the numerator into 2 binomial factors, and then cancel out and see what's left. Take a picture of your practice problems and submit it using the turn-in button on Edmodo.